I'm here today with Shae Faraday. Shae is a conservative in North Carolina, and she's active in the Gaston County Republican organization. Good evening, Shae. How are you tonight?
Good evening. I am great. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you for joining me. You also work with the North Carolina Faith and Freedon Coalition,
Yes.
and you are an independent beauty consultant with Mary Kay. Is that right?
Yes, I have done a little bit with Mary Kay, and I just started working with Faith and Freedom just over the election, knocking on doors for them. And I did enjoy that.
Well, you sound like a busy lady. Tell us a little bit about your day-to-day life.
Okay. Well, I have four kids, and we homeschool them, and their ages from 9 to 3. Um, I am the secretary for the Gaston County Republican Women. I'm also a liaison for the Frederick Douglass Foundation of North Carolina. And yeah, that's what I do. I was doing a lot with that, being a poll greeter during the early voting, which was my first time uh, doing that the way that it went out. That was the first time I'd ever been a poll greeter and handing out voter guides and things like that. And I really enjoyed it. It was busy, but I liked it. And I'm looking forward to the next election season. That was the first time I had done anything like that, and I enjoyed it. I was able to, speak to voters coming in and out, and it was very interesting to see the different people that were, that would accept our voter guides and kind of talk to them and get some of their concerns and things about our nation.
So in terms of poll greeting, that's fairly new for you. How long have you been active in Republican politics?
Well, it was November of 2020, right after the presidential election, is when we decided to get involved. And because the main reason was I was just so furious with what happened with the election in 2020 that we just felt like that I had to do something. Like I couldn't just sit around and do nothing. So me and my husband, we looked up our local GOP and we attended one of the meetings, and we kept going after that. So 2 years, 2 years now.
That's great. What was it about the 2020 election that made you so furious?
Man, the amount of voter fraud and things like that was going on, and just all the irregularities and stuff in different states. Pretty much. I guess some people are kind of like hesitant to say it, but I won't. It's like I felt like it was stolen. Yeah, so that really made an impact on the decision to go ahead and get involved.
Have you always been conservatively leaning in your politics?
I feel like I have. Well, I grew up in a family that voted mostly Democrat, no matter what. So yeah, I didn't know much or cared much about politics back then. I was 18 when I just turned 18 the month before the Obama and McCain election. And so I voted Democrat because, everybody was excited about Obama and all this hope and change. And he was a young politician, energetic, and all that kind of stuff. And so I voted Democrat. And after that, and just seeing how he ran his presidency and everything, I did not like it. He lied. It was a bunch of nonsense, his policies and all this other stuff. So he was just very divisive and things like that. So when 2012 came around, I was like 100% sure I would be voting Republican, and just I thought my values already lined up with conservative, but I wasn't aware of that because I wasn't really around people that were conservative. And again, I was young. I didn't really care much about politics. So yeah, after the that election, I never ever voted Democrat again. That's pretty much how that went.
I was also raised in a very Democratic household.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've talked to a handful of people in the same situation. And they just, I don't know what it is. They just continue to religiously vote Democrat no matter what, even though I know for a fact they hold conservative values as well, which is strange to me that they wouldn't vote that way. But, that's just how it goes.
What kind of personal blowback have you gotten from friends or relatives for beginning to vote conservatively?
Oh boy. Well, as of now, I pretty much have started over with friends, and as far as like extended family, outside of my parents and a very select few family members, I don't really speak to them anymore because, well, I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. January 6th, I went to DC to attend the rally up there, and once family members found out that I was up there, it's like all hell broke loose, and they were just verbally attacking and just saying all kind of things. And on social media and Facebook, they were just coming out in droves, just attacking me and him for just being there. We didn't do anything crazy. We didn't go inside. We were just there. Nothing, we didn't do anything wrong. It was nothing like that. And like I tell people now, it was one of the best days ever. It was a very, just a warming feeling to be around all those patriots that day. And ever since then, people just really showed their true colors, even though, they had different political opinions than us. I never, once attacked them for their different political beliefs. But as soon as that happened, they just really showed who they were. And so I just, I was like, okay, that's fine. I did nothing wrong. And for them to just go on this, I don't know, verbal just rampage, it was just ridiculous. So yeah, I don't really speak to them anymore, which is fine with me. It's actually been great. I'm not gonna, that probably sounds terrible, but it's just, it needed to happen. And after that, like, I feel like in politics, things just kind of took off as far as like volunteering and everything that I'm involved in, it just kind of took off. So I now have a great new group of people that I can call friends, and I enjoy them. They're like my family pretty much at this point. Yeah, people stopped talking to me, and yeah, they just were upset about that.
I have been admonished a couple of times in interviews for this podcast for asking this question, but it ties into what my goal has been. Conservatives have carried the reputation, I believe unfairly, that conservatism equates to racism. Now, you say you have created a whole new close group of friends who I assume are conservatives.
Yes.
How would you respond to what I call the myth that conservatism is racism?
Well, it just doesn't make sense. I feel like you have to have common sense. Like, I don't, I really don't understand how conservatism could equate to racism, especially because it has nothing to do with race. Like, I'm black. I mean, which some people feel like, black people can't be racist, which is a lie. But I just don't understand why that is. I don't know if I can even give a clear answer, to be honest.
Well, suffice it to say, I guess, that the conservatives that you come in contact with in your daily life
Oh,
are not
yeah,
are not racist.
right. No, they're definitely not. In my experience, the racism has come from people who look like me. To be honest, in my experience, I've not received any kind of racism or anything like that from conservatives or Republicans. I'm around them quite frequently, and yeah, I can say that the people who are racist are the ones attacking conservatives, and for just because they believe something different. I've had the most problem from people who look like me. That just pretty much sums it up. They're the ones that have the problem with me being conservative, because they just attack anything that people and anything that doesn't line up with their opinions or their values.
I saw a Facebook post that you made. You had a very successful midterm election night in your county, it looks like.
Yes.
How are you reacting to the fact that we did not have a red wave?
Um, it was a little disappointing and kind of shocking, to be honest, because I feel like a lot of people were fed up with everything that's been going on with this administration and with some of the Democratic politicians. And it just seemed like it didn't line up with how the vote came out. I tried to, and some people have asked me the same thing since the election, but I try to look at it in a positive and just look at what we did gain instead of what seems like we lost. And that's been really helpful. But it was it was quite disappointing. I'm not gonna lie, it was disappointing to not see as much red as we hoped for.
It sounds like because of your work with the Faith and Freedom Coalition, your faith is important to you. Is that correct?
Yes, yes, it is.
Does that play a part in your leaning towards political conservatism?
Absolutely. And one of the main things about speaking of that is abortion. I feel like that's a really strong, uh, that's something that I just can't agree with or be a part of or vote for. So with being a Christian, I can't vote for a party who openly supports killing children. I can't do it. And it's funny because I know people personally who claim to be Christian, but they vote Democrat every single time. And I just that alone, I don't understand how you can do that. It doesn't line up. It doesn't add up. It doesn't make any sense.
I think there are a lot of people who do not understand that immediately after the Dobbs decision, the Democrats in the House of Representatives passed an abortion bill that had no time limits on it. It allowed abortion up through the moment of birth, actually. I think if that had come out a little more strongly in the election, then the pro-abortion ranks might not have been as successful.
I agree because that seems to have been one of the things that kind of swayed the votes, where the younger crowd was in support of the abortions and wanting to be able to do that, and a lot of people, and I've seen videos and documentaries and news clips that said that ages were 18 to 28, 29, they were voting for that, wanted the abortions, and that's kind of what swung some of those elections. That's just unfortunate. It really is. It's sickening, really, in my opinion. In my opinion.
The polls I have seen indicate that most people do support some time limits on abortion, time limits for viability of the fetus, but that does not seem to be the direction the Democrats are taking at the moment.
No, it just seems like they're just, I don't know what it is, what they have against life, and choosing to want to just, you know, murder children. It's evil. It really is. It's truly evil. There's no, like, I don't understand how a baby that's like the location, it doesn't matter because you can't go out here and kill a 2-year-old or something, like, or it doesn't matter, like, whether the baby's inside or out, it doesn't matter. Either way, it's murder. And just to think that, I don't know, it's evil. I don't know what else to say about that.
Well, Shae, you've been very generous with your time. I appreciate your taking the time to participate in this interview. I always give my guests the floor at the end of the interview to say anything that's on their heart or mind that's not in response to a question that I directly ask. So the floor is yours to share any closing thoughts that you'd like to share.
All right, so for my final thought, I would just like to talk to the minority conservatives. Just want to tell them that for those who feel isolated, like you're the only one, you're not. Actually, the number of minority conservatives is growing, and I encourage you to get involved with your local GOP or your or other conservative organizations and join in the fight to keep our country free. It may cost you relationships with friends, family, and in some cases that we've seen, even your livelihood. But it's nothing compared to what we would lose if we choose to let fear and complacency dictate our actions. And with that being said, I wanted to quote something from Frederick Douglass, and it says, "Those who profess to favor freedom and yet depreciate agitation are people who want crops without plowing the ground. They want rain without thunder and lightning. They want the ocean without the roar of its many waters." The struggle may be a moral one, or it may be a physical one, or it may be both, but it must be a struggle. Power concedes nothing without a demand. It never did, and it never will. And that's from Frederick Douglass. And those are my final thoughts.
Well, Shae, thank you for that. Those are fantastic final thoughts. Again, I want to thank you so much for investing the time to take part in this interview, and I wish you the very best in all of your efforts.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you having me on.